organizations across the city to engage, educate, and enlighten your student journey before you graduate. There isn't a better city than Indianapolis to get the experience you need to prepare you to handle any event, big or small. It all starts here.
At Morales Group Staffing, we are all about building better futures. And during these times, we are working hard to put people to work. We are now hiring for hundreds of jobs with pay up to $17 an hour. Visit our website at moralesgroup.net or text JOBS, JOBS, to 317-472-7600 to apply now and get hired today.
You're good at keeping the car clean. We're good at your insurance.
Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, online, over the phone, or in person, and stop knocking on wood.
High school sports fans, welcome back to Game Time, to pure spirits, to pure sport. Welcome back to high school sports.
Fans, I'm IHSAA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and I just want to say, welcome back.
This is Game Time. This is Indiana high school sports. This is your IHSAA.
You want a career that will transform your life while you change the lives of others by helping them live well. With a health or exercise sciences degree from IUPUI School of Health and Human Sciences, you will gain an in-depth understanding of the healthcare industry while preparing you for a variety of graduate and professional programs in health. And with Indy as your classroom, you will have clinical options within leading hospitals right in our backyard, as well as a degree from Indiana University, reputable leaders in the healthcare industry. It all starts here.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
High school football fans, welcome back to Friday night, to pure spirits, to pure sports. Welcome back to high school football.
Fans, I'm IHSAA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and I just want to say, welcome back.
This is Friday night. This is Indiana high school football. This is your IHSAA.
Welcome to Heritage Christian High School, where we find ourselves in a Circle City Conference matchup between the Heritage Christian Eagles and the Covenant Christian Warriors. Alongside Troy Darengowski, my name is Joey Lindstrom. Troy, it's good to be with you. First of all, today's matchup featuring the two teams rounding out the bottom of the Circle City Conference, and they both played really tough schedules. Yeah. Both these groups, you could say, are seasoned, I suppose. They've kind of played the litmus test, if you will, of the conference. Heritage Christian sits at 4-6, 1-3 in the conference. Covenant Christian sits at 1-11 and 0-5 in the conference. 4th and 5th are their standings. But they have this chance to play each other in a match that could really set them on the right foot maybe for the rest of the stretch of the season.
Yeah, and that's just it. You're down to the back stretch of the season. You want to make things go right now. And this is not just a conference matchup. You're looking at a rival between these two teams, Covenant Christian and Heritage Christian. I know we use that cliche all the time, throw the records out the window. That might be the case here tonight, depending on how Covenant plays. They're coming off a win. That's huge. Anytime you have some momentum going into a match, that is big. Number two, the one thing that stuck out the most is you look at two very, very young teams. This isn't going to be just a game tonight. This is a game for the next 4 years. You look at Covenant Christian, 6 freshmen on the team, only 1 senior. On the other side of the ledger, their best players, when you talk about Heritage Christian, are all underclassmen. So they're going to see each other a lot for the next several years.
And we look at this Heritage Christian squad, and Audrey Brewer, she jumps off the page with her save numbers. 26 this year. She averages 3.7 a game, and she's the goalkeeper that has played the most. 8 out of the 10 games played, and no matter what you say, the goalkeeper is paramount. She is the anchor of the defense.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. If you can get your keeper to do her job. Now, I always emphasize the defenders in front of the keeper, because a lot of times you'll see in soccer they have a tendency to not play as well as they can in certain situations. The problem is if you leave your goalkeeper against a good offensive team hanging out there to dry, the numbers don't look as good, but she is good. She's like a unicorn, one of a kind type thing, where she'll come in here tonight, and that's where Covenant's going to have to find a way, put pressure on her very, very early, try to get that early goal if they can, and then go to work on defense on the other side, because this will be a Heritage Christian team that I think you're going to see attack, and put a lot of pressure back on Covenant.
Offensively, Abby Folk is the first-year player that has 14 goals on the season. Very special, and it obviously looks like that. Her is sitting at the 9 position. They sometimes have her at winger. She's able to put the ball in places that they need to go, and that's really the focal point of this offense.
Well, you can tell she's one of those players, too, that plays in the offseason. She understands the game. She has a great IQ. And I think what you're going to see tonight, if I'm Covenant, I try to keep the ball away from her as much as I can. I don't know how you're going to do that, because the focal point for Heritage will be get the ball to her as much as you possibly can. And you can tell they've set her up really well this year. And I think they'll try it again tonight. But if I'm Covenant, that's a tough task to do. I got to find a way to keep her from hurting me the most.
We'll have to see which formation Heritage Christian comes out in. Usually, typically a 4-4-2 type of look, where they like to have both strikers in there when they can at the 9. Let's switch over to Covenant Christian. In goal, typically running past there is Catherine Wise. She's a solid, just like you said with Heritage Christian. I got to imagine the role has to be the same for maybe a struggling back line that hasn't done as well as they maybe have hoped. You sit at 1-11. In goal, what has to be the focus for the team?
Well, you got to work with a lot of young kids. And I hate to say that, but it's true. We talked about it a little bit ago. You got 6 freshmen on this roster. You have a bunch of sophomores, most underclassmen. The 1 senior on your team, and she's in goal. So she's going to have to step up even further. As I mentioned, I think Heritage is going to attack, and really put a lot of pressure on her, get the ball down the field as quickly as they can. So Catherine's going to have to really step up her game tonight against Heritage Christian team that will be on the offensive most of the night, unless you can get those defensive players to really stop that flow.
Another veteran player on the offensive side is the holding midfielder Ella Longoria. your holding midfielder has to be a player that really can move the offense forward and also be kind of a command, almost a goalkeeper leader in the middle of the field, right?
Yeah.
How does she impact tonight's game?
Well, that's going to be big, too, because it keeps out of your offensive end. If you can get her to counterattack and get the ball moving the other way, that takes a lot of pressure off your defenders, takes a lot of pressure off Catherine Wise as well. I want ball possession in my opponent's area. I want to make sure that I'm around their box area. I want to attack them. So her job is going to be get it down there, try to keep it down there as long as you can.
Lauren Rennie was the college signee to IWU. She was a senior last year for Heritage Christian, and she was that holding midfielder. So we saw how important she was last year in their success. This Heritage Christian squad as well. I mean, they haven't really been in a place where they've been winners, right? I mean, the last time they went to semi-state was 2016. That's a long time, but that was a run 4 years in a row, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. Actually, subtract 2014 from that years of semi-state, but all those 3 other years, those kind of runs are great. So now Coach James Wiltsey comes in, and he has not quite had the group that has brought them to that almost glory like they used to have. And his message to the team, we sit at 4-6. Now it's got to be, all right, now we're in the last stretch, home stretch of the season. We got to kick it into high gear.
Well, the one thing you mentioned is those stretch of years. And when you get a different coach in, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get your system going the way you want to, depending on how many kids you have returning. It takes a long time to maybe get the developmental system going as well. But when you look at Heritage and you look at Covenant, 2 athletic programs that love winning. So they might be down a little bit now. Don't count them out in the future because they count on winning games.
You mentioned the youth, too. Last game for Heritage Christian, 4 different goal scorers: Corinne Marshall, Kyra Crook, Brianna Moore, Abby Falk, and Noelle Hooper had an assist as well, and Boer had 4 saves. Everybody had a little bit of share of the wealth. I got to imagine, and that game got off to a hot start. They were able to really get everything going as really kind of at will. And how did they do that? And 2, how can they do that again tonight?
Well, we mentioned a lot already about Abby Folk, and you already talked about Kyra Cook and Corinne Marshall. There's another freshman and sophomore that are part of this team. I have a feeling, they played together for a long time, even before they ended up on the high school Heritage Christian team, so they've probably been on a club team. They've been on other teams together, so they know each other very well. When you have that cohesiveness in a lineup, you kind of know, well, you know this. You played football, you don't even need to talk to the other. You make the eye contact. You know where you're going to be, and I think you see that. And I'm not surprised that Heritage Christian, if they don't make a nice run here at the end because of what they're able to do so far. So I would say watch tonight. Don't be surprised if you call those names a lot.
Well, we shall see, Troy. We're going to take a quick break here for the national anthem. You're watching IHSAA Girls Soccer on IndianaSRN.
What's the number one misconception you think about Freemasonry?
Well, I think most people just think of Freemasonry as some kind of secret society, and you go with some of the rumors out there and so on, and they really don't understand who we are. They don't understand that we are a fraternity of brothers first, and our obligation is to take care of each other and our widows and orphans, etc. within our group. They don't understand what the fraternity part of Freemasonry really is, and that's the misconception that's out there. I think first and foremost of anyone that wants to join Freemasonry, I'd like them to know that it's really not a secret society. You may say it's a society with a secret because we have some handshakes and some passwords that you could easily find down in a library if you get the right book. Freemasonry is more, it's a brotherhood, it's a fraternity, it's a way of sharing common thoughts and everything with people of all different vocations that really understand of getting together on the level. Whether you're a judge or a police officer or a janitor, you're all on the same level when you're in a Masonic lodge room. And I think that's one of the greatest things, that you can sit with people of all vocations, but you have that certain thing in common, that you're all brothers.
Welcome back to Heritage Christian. Joey Lindstrom alongside Troy Darengowski. Troy, we talked at pregame at length about both these squads, and Covenant Christian hungry for their second win, their only win coming against the Indy Warriors Football Club home school, and that was a 1-0 finish. They got that win late as well. They've scored against Lebanon, Brebeuf, and Mooresville, but otherwise the struggles for Coach Gress's squad have been much ado to just not being able to get started quickly.
Yeah, and that's going to be a key tonight. I think they have to get off to a good start. The one thing you cannot do in most sports is, especially when you're struggling, is don't get off to a slow start and let the other team get that early quick goal, because it kind of puts you in a little bit of a quandary that now, oh, wait, it's happening again, and then becomes a mindset. So I think tonight, if Covenant can keep this thing close in the first half, 1-0, maybe lead 1-0, whatever the case may be, give themselves a lot of confidence going into that second half. And also, don't give up anything really cheap at the end of that first half, because it's always how you end a half, how you begin a half. And if Covenant wants to win tonight, they've been outscored, if I'm not mistaken, 54-5 in their games this year. This is going to be more mental tonight than it probably will be physical. Not only do you have the two teams that are rivals against each other, but you really got to keep this thing close early.
We're getting ready to kick off here at Heritage Christian High School. Thank you so much for being with us. And the goal there, that's Audrey Boer, three-sport athlete, runs through basketball as well as track.
You know, one thing tonight that is going to help, too, it is a nice night. It's a beautiful night here at Heritage. You don't have to worry about the weather whatsoever. Sometimes they've had a battle in these 90-degree and large humidity, and then if you don't have a lot of depth, that can hurt as well.
So here we go. We are off and running at Heritage Christian. It started in the middle, and immediately we see just the efforts. I mean, look at this ball. These are the kind of balls that I think that Covenant Christian wants to have. Just get in the offensive zone at Heritage.
Yeah, the first pass was a little bit off on this near sideline, but other than that, it gave them an opportunity to get that ball into the Heritage Christian zone. Unfortunately, couldn't catch up with it. But now, let's see how you play that midfield and see how this is going to play out here on the kick. See, now that's okay if you're Covenant Christian, because now you get that possession back. Not a good play that time by Heritage.
Covenant gets it right back. Jaden Dare, fellow freshman, you talk about the youth, and I think that's actually something that has a lot of upside when you have youth on your team, is that you can just develop these girls and help them be better soccer players in general.
Well, especially if you're coming into a system that you want to play. A lot of these girls may not have played that type of system. It takes a little bit of time to get where they want it to be. Now, that last offensive possession, I thought that was pretty good, though I would have liked to have seen the attack a little bit deeper toward the box.
Circle City Conference standings as we sit here today. Chittard 5-0 in the conference. As all of a sudden, here's a brief chance there for number 4. That's Kaya Crook. Beg your pardon, I said Kyra at the beginning of the game. In second is Ron Cully, 3-2 in the conference, 7-3-2 overall. Brebeuf Jesuit is third, 2-3 in the conference, 4-7-2 overall. Heritage Christian lies at 1-3 in the conference, looking for their second conference win today. 4-6 overall. Covenant Christian rounding out the bottom, 0-5 in the conference, 1-11. Corner kick here from Noelle Hooper. That one sails long, and the return up through the uprights, wrong sport to get points.
Well, I think she was looking for the back post, because that's where the momentum was coming that time for Heritage. Fortunately for Covenant, they read that pretty well. They had their keeper right where they wanted her to be. They also had the defender right behind her to make sure if that was a good ball, they would have somebody there to contest that shot. See, now that's where you need a good ball right there, because you kept it. Now it's in the Heritage Christian end, and they can attack right here.
Here's Crook. Try to get it across the 6 over to her teammate. I believe that was number 14, Abby Folk.
Well, I'd love to see Covenant get back a little bit quicker, because that ball, once it came to the near sideline, it was almost like your middies kind of stopped right there, and defender stopped in the middle and didn't get back in time. And that was the other part about it, too, from Wise, the keeper. She needs a good ball out of here to make sure that those defenders aren't going to be caught so deep. See that ball? I would love to have seen that a little bit. She got to get a little lift on that ball,
especially on those clearing kicks when there's no one in front of you.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, that'll help your offense out big time, especially your midfielders.
So you got to clear that ball past that defender.
Here's Folk. Nice move to get around, and a lot of contact here. Try to identify who it might have been. That was a push, and is this a penalty is this a foul that's going to draw a free kick or a PK?
I think, well, the official went down immediately.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, he wasted no time, and it looks like this is going to be a free kick. And that's going to be a penalty kick, isn't it?
An early PK for the Heritage Christian Eagles. Opportunity to go up 1-0.
This was the thing we thought for Covenant. You don't want something like this to happen, so hopefully you can get a stop right here if you're a Covenant Christian fan, that Wise needs a stop. Boy, I hate to be a goalie in this situation, standing there all by yourself.
The approach, and it's in the back of the net. Abby Folk.
Well, as I said earlier, she's a one-of-a-kind, only a freshman, and she had Catherine Wise going to her right, so she played that extremely well, and then kicked the ball to the left of Wise. That was just a great penalty kick there for Abby Folk. And you see why she's scored now 15 goals.
Now at 15, add another one on the tally here.
Look how she leans over and came back that way. So she had her leaning perfectly.
When you're shooting that PK, it's got to be such a mind game.
Yeah.
You know, you could play with the goalkeeper. You see her lean one way, all of a sudden you might be able to change your foot direction just in a second.
Well, there's also that, do I line up right in the middle as a goalkeeper? Do I maybe hedge a little bit? I'm sure they've seen each other enough, and especially with the way Abby Folk can play, I'm not so sure it would have mattered either way, whether you hedged one way or the other, because she could go either way. She's that good. Boy, got to clear that ball.
So Heritage already up 1-0. Folk had a goal in the last game in their win over Danville, 4-2.
Get those defenders back in position right there, square those shoulders, know where the ball is.
I actually would like to make a correction. In goal is Andy Williamson.
So Williamson in instead of Wise.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. I saw the 5 and I was like, is that a 3 or a 2? That's Andy Williamson, sophomore goalkeeper.
So you just basically then you got younger too, right? We talked about the lone senior of the team, and now you're really, really young as Covenant.
And we're already 4.5 minutes in, and it's 1-0 based off the PK. Tough work from the right back to get that penalty. Heritage takes advantage.
Now, one thing again for Covenant, try to get that clear right here. Get it into Heritage Christian space so you can start working on offense, because now your defense is working, and pretty soon you're chasing enough, you're going to get really tired.
Folk forwarding pass.
There you go.
That one gets cleaned up by Williamson.
Well, that's a smart play by Williamson. You had two players right there for Heritage. They were ready to pounce in that ball, and that's a good clear, too.
Most effective clear we've seen so far.
Yes. But now you got to generate something on offense, at least keep possession in a game like this where you don't score a ton of goals anyway, but you really need to make now the Heritage Christian defense work a lot more.
Offsides was Heritage Christian, and you're right. Now Covenant has a chance to do so. Covenant's last game versus Bishop Chatard, a 6-0 defeat. Prior to that, they played Roncalli and Lebanon, lost 4-0 to Roncalli, 3-2 to Lebanon. They defeated Indy Warriors homeschool. I mean, it's just been a tough stretch. You had Burbuff, Guerin, Ritter. Now here's a chance up front. Here's Crook. Thought about briefly shooting it. I think she was worried about the spacing between her and Williamson.
Well, I thought she really got that ball too deep. If she would have cut back to the inside, the defender, her momentum may have taken her to the left. You probably would have had a one-on-one situation right there with Williamson, and you also had a teammate coming up from the left. But a lot of times that happens when you have a young team. It's like basketball. Do I shoot, not shoot? Well, once you start establishing a little bit of more confidence, then you really know what you want to do, just like that one. Nice play.
Crook with a shot, but Williamson with the leg at the right time. Right place, right time, and she gets a save notched on the board.
See, I thought that time that was played very well from the offensive standpoint. Take it deep, force that goaltender to decide what you're going to do, and then it was good goalkeeping as well. So I thought it was well played both ways.
That's the first shot on goal here for Heritage, barring the penalty kick. And they need Covenant, needs a chance on the offensive side. It just looks like they're not being aggressive enough. I don't know. I mean, as you view this, what kind of things are you seeing that Covenant just needs?
Well, the one thing I noticed about Covenant is they have been beaten 2 or 3 times on a ball from midfield back into the attacking third, and they're going to have to get back much faster than that. And it seems like they are either very tired at this point, and I know they've already played one of the game early, and Heritage hasn't. So maybe they're a little bit tired this week, but they got to get back on defense or it's going to be a long night. You cannot let Heritage get in your zone that often. But see, and attack the ball right there. Come right back at it and try to get that away from the – seeing how they're trailing right there, even though they got saved because of the long kick, but you got to get back faster.
Kaya Crook sent that one forward, and Corinne Marshall was chasing after it, and she did not have any offside penalty. I mean, Covenant wasn't really even trying for it to get back all the way there.
Boy, I'd come up and challenge Williamson, too. She got way out there on her kick. It certainly helped on the clear, but look how much room they give her. They don't even try to challenge her out of there. And that's okay. You've been playing offense most of the night anyway. Probably feel you can pick things up at midfield and work from there just like they did.
Here's Crook.
So you got to get back. There you go.
Corinne Marshall's got an alley. And she gets it past Williamson, the second goal for Heritage Christian.
If I'm that opposite side defender right there, which I know our folks at home can't see on point.
we don't have the Stratocaster.
Yeah, we need that. She really needed to get back. That middle person was not going to make it back. Don't worry about that person behind you. Worry about where the ball is and where you need to be to help your goalie. So this is what we feared if you're Covenant because of their youth and their lack of scoring ability. If they fell behind early, now the mindset is cliche as it can be. Now you need to take it one at a time. You need to get one here relatively soon and make sure that you keep your mindset that this is still a close matchup.
And just getting there into the offensive zone is the trouble right now, but here might be a chance.
Yeah, but you look at Heritage. They have 4 people back as opposed to what Covenant had done down at the other end where they really didn't get a defender or anybody back where they needed to be.
That one's corralled by Boer. And Heritage will try to get semblance of their possession here. That was Marshall's 5th goal on the season, according to our stat sheet.
Well, we mentioned Folk already, and we said we'll mention those others, and Marshall was one of the players that we would talk about.
She also had a goal in their win against Danville on Tuesday.
See, now if I am Heritage, I see 5 players on that side. I know somebody's open on the back side, and if you can keep your head up, eyes up, and locate those players, then all of a sudden you look at Covenant, they're having to shift all those players over. They wouldn't make it back in time. So spacing's going to be key right here for Covenant.
There's a good clear. Yeah. Get yourself some space.
You know, if you had quickness like Keith Myers, you don't have to worry about, getting a good clear because you can hustle down there, and I've seen him run. It's amazing how quick he is from one end to the other.
Coaches forever have asked me, are you faster than a ball? Traveling through the air. The only person I know is Keith Myers.
Me too, yeah.
Take a minute to hear from our sponsor, IUPUI Sports Management. Sports management careers are booming, Troy. When you're managing the business side of sports, you're always a major player in the game. Our graduates work in crucial and demanding positions at sports organizations and venues, managing arenas and stadiums, handling publicity for their favorite teams, and developing the market for innovative sports products. Contact us at iupui.edu/sportsmanagement.
So you see Covenant got that kick from the side and keeping it in their own zone, which is going to be huge. And here you go. Be patient right here. You don't have to hurry. Just make sure that you play possession on this side, but unfortunately unable to keep it in their own zone. So back on defense again. Now this is what speed will do for you right there. See that?
Crook has a lane over to the top of the 6 and in the box. No chance there, though. Folk trying to, do it over top. It's saved by Williamson. Wow, what a nice effort by number 4, Kylie Sebri.
Well, let me tell you what, and it only was, you saw that backside defender get back over there too, and that was huge.
Beg your pardon, that was actually number 3, Kate Hedrick, with the header to get that out of the goal, deflect.
Boy, that's dangerous right there, too. You never know how that's going to end up.
Kyra Crook with another lane.
Oh!
Saved right in front by Williamson. Good work to get her hands out in front of that ball.
Williamson wasn't quite sure that was in her hands, was
yeah.
She kind of looked back like, what happened?
Whether she was ready for it or not. Wow, what a crazy header. That thing might have brought rain.
Good ball movement, good spacing here by Heritage. You know, they've only been, when you look at Heritage coming in, if I'm not mistaken, they're not far from being a winning team. I know they come into 4-6, but they've been even in a lot of games this year. And from a goal standpoint, they've only been outscored by 2, so they've been in a lot of close ones, not far from being a winning ball club. I just like the way they hustle. I mean, I really like the way Heritage goes after every loose ball. Could be a 50-50 ball, could be a header, could be a clear. Always seems like they have a black jersey around them.
And I think that's kind of the message that Coach Wiltsey wants to extend to his team, that no matter what, just hustle. Just hustle the ball. Hey, we have several games on the family of networks tomorrow for football, American football. Park Heritage at Greencastle. Tinley at Covenant Christian, Frontier at Traders Point, Cecina at Heritage Christian. Those are all webcasts, and you can catch Delta at Mount Vernon on the radio. All those game times start at 7 p.m.
More high school football games on a Friday night than anybody else in the state of Indiana, and we're very proud that we can bring you a lot of great games. And then don't forget, Saturday morning on our sports page and our sports report that we do, we'll give you reports on all the games that we do. So it's just I just sit there and say, well, here's the next report, and let those guys do all the work.
Who does those, Troy?
Well, I just sit there. That's all. They're doing the work. I just put it together. So,
no, you do a great job with that. Radio, Troy, you are the man when it comes to that. So appreciate all you do for that, brother.
Oh, Brad, thank you as well. I mean, SRN does a great job across our networks, and we're just going to keep hopefully building and building and building as we go. So.
That's right. That's right.
Now, you and I will still mention our championship pedigree one of these times and see if we can get a new contract. But
yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll hopefully be back next year. Hopefully they like us enough.
I hope so.
Coach Keith Myers. Just got to be on his good side.
That's right.
Heritage Christian, meanwhile, is still on the prowl offensively after that great save by Williamson and Hedrick with the header. I mean, it's just a kind of a bout right now to see if Covenant Christian can get into the offensive zone.
Well, that is a struggle right now, and they know that. It's been that way this season when you've only scored 5 goals in the entire year, but you've seen some glimpses of them able to get it. They just need to get a little bit closer. Sometimes they've taken a shot a little bit too deep.
That one almost struck off the right foot.
Almost like 2 corners in a row there, huh? Uh-oh.
This one over the top, no good.
Well, I tell you, I've done soccer matches before, and listen, I'm not close to where you are in soccer, But you just get a feeling sometimes when they just keep bam, 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 and it's not just the shots on goal, it's just shots too. It'll wear you down after a while. You kind of feel like your head's going each way, and right now maybe a little bit for Covenant, they kind of feel that way, but I think a lot of that pressure is alleviated. Get it down there. I know it's easier said when we're up here. We don't have to worry too much about it,
right.
But they really need to get the pressure at the other end.
Well, I think when you have it's just a war of attrition. Eventually, you're just going to get fatigued back there if you're Williamson, just getting peppered with shots.
Well, and we mentioned earlier when you talked about what I thought about Covenant, and I thought they did look a little bit tired. I don't know. Any sport, you try to give your players time off because you've got to get ready for tournament play, and you're hoping that by then you're going to be as fresh as you possibly can be. But one thing about this turf here tonight, again, you're on turf. A lot of the teams play on grass. It's a slower pace. It's a lot harder on your legs when you're working off this turf, and you've really got to get down there because if you don't, that ball rolls pretty quick, and those other players can be much faster getting to where they need to go.
Well, by the time sectionals come at the end of the month, I think both these teams will be ready. They have tough sectionals. Heritage Christian in sectional 43, that's played at Park Tudor. That includes Indianapolis Lutheran, Park Tudor, and Triton Central. Covenant Christian in sectional 42, they have GCA, Greenwood Christian Academy, Cecina, and Speedway. Obviously, both these teams are 1A schools, but they're no joke, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Boy, you look at that last possession by Covenant, that's exactly where they needed to get the ball in scoring position. Unfortunately, they weren't able to complete it the rest of the way, but that's where they've got to attack now. See, and here's where a ball gets behind them.
Kaya Crook, once again on the run. Does she capitalize? She does. Back past Williamson. Crook's got her first goal of the day. She had one last week as well. So the 3 goal scorers so far, 2 in a row, 2 games in a row, scorers.
Well, again, it's not a mystery. If you can clear a ball for Heritage and you get behind the Covenant Christian defense, Heritage is just too fast, and they're unable to catch up with her. So you leave your goalkeeper in a one-on-one situation, and you'll see it right here. Once they get past midfield, it's over. Look at this. She's got a 5-yard sprint on her already, and she just gets the goalie out of position.
Pick your poison on where you want to go. If you're Williamson, I mean, just kind of guess at that point. Crook, very talented with the ball, and she's got herself another notch on the scoreboard.
Well, I like the keeper coming out. Make that offensive player make the decision, okay?
Right.
I'm going to come out and challenge you. If you're going to think you're going to get an easy goal, I'm going to try to make it as tough as they can, because sometimes the offensive player may see you come out and they don't react as well as they would hope, but that didn't happen that time.
Covenant just trying to find themselves in the opposite side. But giving them trouble is players like Marshall, who have incredible ball skills.
Yeah, that was a great move, too.
Williamson just kind of kicking it out. That save, while albeit unorthodox, definitely effective.
The other thing, when you watch Covenant right now, and I mentioned getting in position, squaring your shoulders, trying to – I always thought that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I want to make that player, generally you can kind of tell whether they're right-footed or left-footed, always make them go the opposite. Make them uncomfortable, so swing around if you can and try to make them push it the other way so they can't get in a good position to get a nice kick.
Captain Noelle Hooper taking this one on the corner kick. Set pieces so far. 0-for-3 for Heritage. And no dice on that one. But a chance here. Williamson going out and getting it. Corralling that ball and turtling around.
That's a nice play. Stay right with it. Again, now let's get a good clear right here. That's a nice ball. Boy, another freshman. That was Gumbel, who was working there in the middle, trying to clear that ball into the zone, getting into a scoring position. So again, another freshman, 6 on this roster. They're getting a lot of playing time.
Crook with the cross pass.
Oh.
And that one just goes wide of the cage. Trying to identify the number. But what a pass. And you saw she was just so patient on that one, Troy.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know if Covenant they're going to have to shut her down somehow, because she's really the catalyst right now of what is happening on this right side. They're attacking from the right and able to get the speed from her all the way down into the box area. So I think they got to find a way to push her back the other way, too. Now, I don't know if you have a strategy for that or not if you don't have a quick player. Water break, though.
What a perfectly timed water break, and here we go. We were going to take a quick break as well maybe we'll get a hydration break.
Maybe, I hope so.
You're watching IHSAA girls soccer on IndianaSRN.
This is the Frells family's land. When the sun comes out, the kids run and play right there. This used to be a shed. Now, it's where they get breakfast. This is more than just land. It's home. The Frells family runs with us on a John Deere 1 Series tractor. This land isn't the only thing that should live on for generations. Nothing runs like a Deere. Search John Deere 1 Series for more.
Visit Reynolds Farm Equipment, your hometown John Deere dealer today at reynoldsfarmequipment.com.
Welcome back to Heritage Christian. Want to take a minute to hear from the IHSAA Foundation. Catch up on what's going on with the IHSAA Foundation. Subscribe to our newsletter, The Advocate. Email at ihsaafoundation.org. Also, the sports page, we teased it, and on Saturdays you can get recaps of all the football games, but there is a daily sports page created beautifully by none other than my broadcast partner, Troy Darengowski, to my right. Stay up to date with the IHSAA sports news at our sports page at IndianaSRN.org or Troy at radiotroy.com. You can email him how great you thought he was and how great his deep, deep voice sounds.
Oh, boy.
And then
and all of his soccer knowledge. Huh? Yeah.
All you're set. Email any and all soccer inquiries right to Troy. So Heritage Christian leads 3-0. Goals from Marshall, Crook, and Folk. We mentioned that Folk was the impact player that we were looking for. She is in that winger spot tonight. They kind of mix her in between winger and striker. She kicked off the scoring for us. And, Troy, that's kind of been the story of the game, really. Is Heritage has just had this ball in Covenant's defensive zone for more than enough time. I mean, we're 20 minutes into this thing, and it feels like Covenant has barely had a possession.
Well, I would say out of the 20, probably 16, maybe 16 and a half has been spent Covenant trying to stop Heritage. The thing is, if you don't have the speed, and you can kind of tell, as I mentioned, Covenant, their lack of getting back on defense, if you bring those defenders and your middies and everybody's up here at midfield and that ball is cleared, which we've seen a couple of times, they don't have enough to get back. And if you talk about a 5-yard cushion between the ball and the defender and you leave that goalie all by themselves, you're going to have a lot of success. So I guess if I'm right now Covenant Christian, I know I got to fix the offense. But I also know now I got to make sure that Heritage doesn't score again. Otherwise, it's going to be a long afternoon. I don't know if you keep a defender back just to make sure if they clear that ball, at least I have a shot at disrupting the flow of the offense. But I've got to do something now to stop the flow at this end.
And I've been most impressed by the way that their forwarding passes scoot right past the defense. And the back line for Covenant Christian just seems to be non-existent. Those passes are just timed right enough so that our Heritage doesn't get an offsides.
Well, it reminds me of cherry picking in basketball where you just send that guy down and you just kind of throw it down there and let him go get it. That's really what it reminds me of. And then I know you don't have a defender down there in basketball after a cherry pick and it becomes an easy layup, but when you have a goalkeeper, and this is a young goalkeeper, that's a tough situation to put her in as well.
Williamson electing not to take this free kick. She'll get it from her right back.
Well, you do see that a lot if a goalie doesn't have the ability yet as a youngster to make a good clear, doesn't have a strong leg maybe as much as one of the other players, go ahead and let that other player take it. It really isn't anything wrong with that at all. And they got a good clear, and now they have an opportunity right here. Now, you could hear either a coach or somebody say sideline. They wanted to make sure that ball for Heritage didn't go up the sideline. Now, they got success because they came back into the inside and then back out, but they wanted to cut off that sideline because that would have been perhaps an easier path to make it all the way down to the other end.
Yeah, you can hear the coaches on the Covenant Christian sideline, we assume, just barking out where they need to be in that space. And I think that's huge for that development of just seeing where you need to be on the field. Like you said at the beginning of the game, a lot of these girls have played together at the youth level in the greater Indianapolis, and now playing with each other in high school or playing against each other. It's a whole different ball game. You tend to see things differently. The ball moves fast. The game moves faster. The ball moves faster because people are stronger. Their legs are stronger. So it's obviously something that it's just a work in progress for Covenant Christian. They've had years, not to cut you off, but they've had previous seasons. Last year, 3-13, 0-4 in the conference. In 2018-2019, they went 9-8-2, and they were independent at that point. 27-28 through 2018, they were 13-8. And it just goes to show, maybe that is coaching changes throughout the year. That turnover can affect you. But as Kaya Cook nails that one past Williamson as I was talking, she said, "Shut up, here's a goal."
Well, she's having a heck of a night. Seems like every time that we turn around, you're talking about Cook either getting ahead of the defense. But you know what was great about that goal is it was almost like she just instinctively knew where she needed to go, because there were two defenders that time for Covenant Christian right there with her. That was a great goal, best goal of the night. And we're going to see it again, too.
Kaya Cook, her second.
Look at that.
Beautiful pass, and just one little toe bash right into the goal. At least that's what I would have done, was just toe bash it right in.
I knew you would. Well, you know, but that was a good. Look at that pass. How did she get that through?
Yeah.
Those two defenders to get it ahead to where Cook could score the goal.
Heck of a curveball.
Well, now you're down 4-0, and you still have 18 minutes remaining in the first half. If you're Covenant, again, take a deep breath right here and don't take that mindset. Here we go again. It's going to be another one of those nights where we can't generate offense. Your thought process now is, you talked about youth earlier. You're right. Varsity sports is so much different than JV freshman. It's quicker, faster, stronger. You got to make decisions a lot faster. You're getting the best of everybody. There's not a whole lot of room for mistakes. So right now, if I'm Covenant Christian, again, let's take it a step at a time. Let's make a positive. Let's make every possession something we can build on, not even just for tonight. Let's talk about what will happen when we get close to or into tournament play. And I don't know what the delay is right here, but we've got us a little bit of a delay.
Not sure either. Well, we can take this moment to hear from another sponsor first. Piper Logistics. In 2002, Piper Logistics was established with the encouragement and financial support of a spirited customer who helped Greg and Tim develop their vision. If you need something transported, contact Piper Logistics at 317-395-1023.
So when you look at Covenant right there, they had a little triangle offense going on this side. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too slow in developing here to try to get that ball past the defense. And then once it got back to the middle, that's where Heritage has owned this game, is right there and right here.
Marshall again, but Williamson is there to meet her, boots this one down.
Great kick.
Great kick past the midfield line.
Well, I like that decision by Williamson. There was no way she was going to allow that ball to get into the box and make it a real close one-on-one play. So you got to cut off that sideline again.
We don't have a lot on Williamson as a goalkeeper, so it's definitely, and you can sort of see that she's been commanding that defense a little more. Maybe this is time for her to get experience. I mean, just as a sophomore, this is a very big opportunity.
Well, you do. You build for the future. You know that you still want to win now, and you're still hoping to have success when that tournament rolls around, but you also know that you're going to build down the line. And when you have sophomores and freshmen, and you'll hear it, teams will take their lumps, but then they'll give those lumps back when they become juniors and seniors, and they'll know that all this hard work and everything that they're going through will pay off. it just doesn't seem realistic now when you're a freshman and you're 13, 14 years old, whatever the case may be, because you're thinking, what is going on here and why is this happening? But that adversity will eventually help.
I think you're right. I mean, the more times you face opponents that are pretty tough, it's going to make you a little bit tougher.
Well, you'll know how to handle situations somewhere else. And you could go through tons of tape and look at everything and film and analyzing this, but when you're out there and, you play football, there's things out there happening nobody ever sees.
Right.
And you'll know how to handle it.
You can't plan for it.
You can't. And nobody put it in the scouting report. Not a coach told you, hey, this is going to happen. And you'll know how to handle it now once it happens. Now, and see, this is the other thing. Where's that ball going?
Right. And also, we need some balls on the sideline for sure.
Come on, guys. But it is good. I mean, nobody likes losing. Nobody likes adversity. But if you don't have some of that, you don't really know how to handle it when it really, really counts. And I'll give Covenant Christian credit. You know what? I know they're down 4-0. We have a long way to go. But these youngsters just hang in there and keep playing hard.
Well, Hooper over the top. That one is caught by Williamson.
I like those left-footed kickers on the kick from the corner.
Oh yeah, those are fun
because they have a spin on it. You see some men and women in college can put something on there, and I have no clue how they do it.
No idea.
Oh, it looks like a curveball in baseball, but boy, they know how to place it right in front. Whether it's in the front, they want to maybe go to the front post, back post, whatever. It's great. Now here's a chance. You're in midfield. Try to get to that ball and get that possession.
Hooper's got 8 assists on the year. I have to imagine many of those have come from the set-piece plays like that.
Yeah. Well, that would have been a good give and go right there. Ball just not led far enough.
Yeah, Kaya Crook was ready for it. I think the pass was right on, maybe a little more juice, and it could have gotten through.
Now do one of those little skips over the top like they were doing earlier.
Right. So after this game, Heritage Christian will face sectional foe Triton Central for a non-conference game. Triton Central sits at 1-7, and the Indiana Crossroads, they're 7th right now. Elsewhere, if you look at this sectional, Park Tudor 10-2-1, having a great year, 5-0, first in the Pioneer Conference, and that's something that you have to point to if you're Heritage Christian to say we want Park Tudor in the sectional championship, if not the first round, so we can knock them out.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately, did you say it's at Park Tudor? So when you play at home,
it's a little bit easier.
Oh, it does. And people say, well, why does it make a difference, home field advantage? Well, first off, you're familiar with surroundings. You don't have to get on a bus. And all those things. Some coaches like it because if they're on the road, they can corral their team. They know what everybody's doing. But there's really nothing like playing at home. That'll be a great advantage for Park Tudor. And Heritage will have to play well to go in there, whether they play in the first round or the championship, whatever the case may be, to beat them, because they're just that good.
Gabriella Crane was sent in that one. Goes a little bit far of the goal. Far left, excuse me.
See, I like that attack right there. Try to force that ball. But, boy, you better get back here in midfield. Look at the 4 players right there in the white, and they didn't get back in time.
Leading pass. That one's going to be offsides. Yeah. Too much space.
Boy, but look at the quickness, though. They just got from midfield on, and Covenant couldn't keep up with them.
Folk and her defender were not close enough when that ball passes through. And you look at the 1A standings right now. Forest Park, Evansville Christian, Fort Wayne, Canterbury, Argos, Providence, Northeast Du Bois. Speedway is in there as well. It varies each year, but I mean overall the 1A conference or 1A class is nothing to sneeze at. I mean, these girls can play, and it's always going to be competitive.
Well, they like the challenge. I'm sure at any time when you talk about 3 classes in boys and girls soccer, they're not afraid to play up. You look at the top 20 teams, whatever the case may be. They have no qualms in going after a 2A or a 3A. And as you know, if you want to succeed in the class that you're in, if you can play those teams teams that are bigger, faster, stronger. It's certainly going to make the game a lot slower when you come back down and play in 1A, but it's going to be a dogfight in soccer in both boys and girls because there's just so many good teams. It's just going to take a lot to by the time you get done and you win a state championship, you're going to feel it.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Take a shot from everybody.
But you're all right with that if it means hoisting the trophy, that's for sure.
That's right.
Great defensive work on the back line by Lozan Fuentes. She was going to work against Crane. Gets that ball out the way. So we're under 10 minutes to go in our first half. Heritage Christian 4-0.
And he gets somebody up there now. Don't let him have a freebie here. You know, you ever notice Heritage really likes to work this right side.
You're right, they do. And I think that they get the effect of I was about to say a bunch of right-footed kickers, but Falk sending that one in the back of the net with her left boot.
Yeah, that was pretty, wasn't it? That was just a fantastic goal. You had the defense shifted over, moved that ball quickly to the other side, and that was a great goal.
So our count is 5-0. Good to see that one again. You talk about working the right side. Well, they said, we heard you, Troy, and we're trying to work the left.
Be patient, Troy. We'll get over there. We know there's two sides of the field.
Come on, man. Be patient with us. Well, Jimmy Wiltsey and Michael Horstman ought to be happy right now with the way their team has played.
Well, I tell you what, when you're Heritage Christian now and you have a 5-0 lead, you begin to think now, all right, what are some of the areas that we have a weakness on? Maybe that was one a little bit ago, get it to the opposite side, work both sides of the field. Whatever the case may be, you start working on those things. Now, the fan may think, well, that's kind of boring. We don't really see a whole lot of soccer the way we'd expect. But as a coach, you're always thinking next game, tournament, what can we do that we can get on film that we can show the players later this is what we need to do to be successful, whatever formation or whatever offense we run.
Working out the kinks, really. I mean, just finding those little things that you can do to get better.
Well, that goes for defense, too. I mean, I've been talking offense here, but that goes defense, too. You can do some things. Listen, we got to mix it up a little bit. Depending on who we play, we got to be prepared for whatever our opponents throw at us. And so it's a great opportunity as a head coach to see a lot of different things.
Gathered by left back Peduto. And she sends that one out of bounds. Covenant Christian's going to set up.
You know, one thing about today, you got so much film. You've got so much video on players and teams. Back when I played, we didn't know what was going on. They just said you go play and you played. But now you can scout in so many different ways that it's an amazing thing that we have today, the ability to do that. I think it's great that you can sit there and show your team what mistakes you made and such. That most of the time they wouldn't ever listen to me when I was coaching because, you know, they're like, oh, right. But nowadays, boy, you got it all. You can just show it to them. See, I like that time for Covenant. But now if you can just find a way to get that ball back in position.
Yeah, Sabri was getting down there and unfortunately loses a little bit of a handle on that ball as it trickles out of the end line. Six and a half to go. As a reminder, our games on the Family Networks tomorrow. Park Heritage at Greencastle. Tinley at Covenant Christian, Frontier at Traders Point, Cecina at Heritage Christian, and Delta at Mount Vernon. All games set for 7 p.m. All of them are webcasts except for that Mount Vernon game. You hear the lovely sweet tunes of Bill Ludlow on the play-by-play. All football games tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised you're not on that list, but then I hear you're going to go watch Notre Dame Purdue.
That's right. Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be a good one.
That's a yeah.
See if the Boilers can do it.
You have Notre Dame, Purdue, and you also have Indiana, Cincinnati. Those are two really interesting games coming up this weekend.
There it is, and a lot of implications too. I mean, if you got Cincinnati, might have a chance at the playoff. What? Yeah. But they have to win games like against IU, and they play Ohio State later in the year.
Well, and Indiana can come back and maybe show that. Of course, they played Idaho last week, and Idaho's, I mean, they're all right, but I think this is one of those games that Indiana really, really needs to win after they played so poorly against Iowa.
Right. That's right.
Our producer was telling us that about Indiana. The Hoosiers, they're not bad.
They're not
They'll
bad.
Be all right.
They'll be all right.
You get those Butler guys. He's a Butler guy. You're a Butler guy, right?
That's right. That's right.
It's amazing.
Our producer, Nick Lewis, the man, working the sticks tonight. 5 minutes to go here. First half. And Heritage has dominated. If you're just joining us, we've seen 2 goals from Abby Folk, 2 goals from Kaya Crook, and 1 goal from Corinne Marshall.
You know, the thing is that Crook is just a freshman, too. That's what's
crazy
amazing about it. You talk about 2 very talented freshmen in one lineup when you talk about Folk and Crook. It's crazy. How would you like to build on those 2 for the next 3 years after this one?
I think you'd be sitting pretty in the Circle City.
Yes.
If you've got that type of talent on your offense. And so far the back line has held well. They have had their struggles earlier this year.
Well, you know, Corinne Marshall is only a sophomore, so that gets you excited as a head coach when you know that you're having some success this year. I know they're around a 500 ball club. They could make some noise in the upcoming tournament. You said, yeah, they go to Park Tudor, and that'll be a big, big hurdle to overcome there. But you get excited when you get into the offseason. You know you have 3, 4, 5 solid players to build around. Other kids get excited about the team, and pretty soon it all builds from there.
Try to move it up, get into the box. That one deflected out. Nice play by Liz Nolan.
Yeah, anything to clear it if you possibly can, force it into a corner kick, whatever the case may be, but don't allow Heritage to get a clean look from the top. We will have to rectify the 1 ball thing, though. I think we need another
yes,
chase. We need a couple of chasers, and
maybe the usual ball boy was busy tonight. Electing not to have a traditional corner kick was Heritage.
Yeah, played that safe. Well, I'm not sure that with the corners that we have seen from the right side, she approaches the ball from the top, and so I'm not sure she'd be able to angle it the way she'd want to on that right side, being a right-footed kicker. See, I thought that was great advancement that time by Covenant. Unfortunately, unable to keep the ball moving in the right direction. That's good defense, though, there by Heritage.
Boy, if you look at this sectional 42 for Covenant, sometimes you can have nightmares, I'm sure, if you're Coach Gass. But, I mean, Speedway, 9-0, 3-0 first in the Crossroads. Indiana Crossroads, excuse me. You have Cecina, who's at 500, and you have Greenwood Christians, who's 2-4-1. And so, I mean, it kind of trickles down, and there's definitely an attainable way to win, especially if you're playing a Greenwood Christian or a Cecina, who really haven't had as good of a year as maybe they planned. But, boy, if you draw Speedway, that's going to be trouble.
Yeah, I tell you what, in tournament play, that feeling is just so different. I don't care what sport it is. And that's one thing about being in Indiana. You all get a chance basically to wipe that slate clean and start over. You get into the tournament, and I don't know what it is when I was coaching, that you just felt that if you could get a good night, even though you knew you were the underdog, if you could play well, play good defense, I'm mostly referring to basketball there, that you felt you had a chance to beat anybody. And we pulled off a couple of upsets that they drilled us during the regular season, yet in tournament play, we knew if we played well, we could. And I think these teams know that. If you can sustain what you need to sustain, you go in with a good game plan, you play according to that game plan, you don't have to change. I think you have a chance. And that's what I love about tournament time. You get a break here or there, anything can happen.
It sure can. That's kind of the beautiful thing. I mean, I grew up in a state that doesn't have that. not everybody makes the playoffs. You have to have a winning record in all sports. And so for everybody to do that, it does set up for a lot of upsets. And that can be, that could be difficult for a lot of teams who have had great years. They expect to play their top-tier opponent. Sometimes you play down to that level of an opponent that just makes the tournament just by merit.
Yeah, it can be tough both ways, and I've been on the situation where you thought you should win, you don't. You go over it in your mind, what happened, how did this happen, but there are so many different factors. It sometimes is hard to kind of really pinpoint what might be the one thing.
Final seconds here. Roll down in the first half here at Heritage Christian. And they take it into half. Troy, what does Covenant have to do to get together a couple goals as they head into the second half?
Well, a lot's going to have to happen, and they just didn't have the ball enough offensively in scoring position. And when you don't do that, it's pretty simple. It doesn't take Colombo to figure it out. You're not going to win many matches. So they've got to find a way to get in position to get shots on goal. I don't know how many they had in the first half. I don't think they had any, to be honest with you. They had very few shots offensively as well. I don't know that you can fix it this late in the season. That's probably something they wish they could do. But I'm still thinking, all right, let's try to do something that's going to get us in position to score, whether we score or not. Not thinking about this game so much as something down the road. So it's an uphill battle. I know they're a young team, but as I said, in 4 years and 3 years, they may look back on this and say this was part of building a winning program from scratch.
Well, we shall see what the second half brings us. Heritage leads 5-0. You are watching IHSAA Girls Soccer on IndianaSRN, where you're always in the game.
From warehousing to transportation and everything in between, Piper Logistics does it all. Centrally located, Piper Logistics has 2 warehouses in Indianapolis and a warehouse in Cincinnati, Ohio. Piper Logistics houses over 1 million square feet. Along with our transportation department, we can provide service to half the United States markets.
Can't get to a computer? Then we've got you covered. Just go to the IndianaSRN app and stay up to date with all of your favorite teams. You can watch live coverage or relive the experience with our on-demand service.
High school football fans, welcome back to Friday nights, to pure spirits, to pure sports. Welcome back to high school football.
Fans, I'm IHSAA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and I just want to say, welcome back!
This is Friday night. This is Indiana high school football. This is your IHSAA.
You want a career that creates experiences that are impossible to forget. By studying sports and events at IUPUI, you'll get hands-on experience in and out of the classroom. And with Indy as your classroom, there are high-profile events, sports franchises, hotels, museums, and large organizations across the city to engage, educate, and enlighten your student journey before you graduate. There isn't a better city than Indianapolis to get the experience you need to prepare you to handle any event, big or small. It all starts here.
You're good at making big announcements. We're good at your insurance.
Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, online, over the phone, or in person, and stop knocking on wood.
Game day on IndianaSRN. And now here's a special message from Assistant Commissioner of the Indiana High School Athletic Association, Sandra Walter.
In cooperation with the Indiana High School Athletic Association, IndianaSRN would like to thank the men and women who officiate our sports contests. Congratulations to the following officials who've been selected as Official of the Year in their respective sport. This distinction is based on service to student athletes, coaches, and community over decades. These men and women have given countless hours to promoting and ensuring that education-based athletics are afforded to your student athlete. In cross country, Mr. Ted Knopfsinger. Soccer for 21-22, Mr. Lawrence Lohner. In volleyball in the north, Mr. Steve Klein. And in football in Lake County, Mr. Fred Schob. If you'd like to become an IHSAA official, please contact Sandra Walter at the IHSAA office, phone number 317-846-6601. And a huge thank you to Mr. Keith Meyer and IndianaSRN for being such an advocate to our officials, our student athletes, and our administrators of 407 member schools across the state of Indiana. We certainly thank you for the support and the constant effort to promote all that is good about education-based athletics.
Becoming a licensed sports official is a great way to make a positive difference in the community and support the over 160,000 Indiana student athletes that participate across 22 IHSAA sports. Sports officiating allows you to stay connected to the game, become a role model for our young student athletes, earn extra money, and support the patrons and communities of our IHSAA member schools. To learn more about becoming a licensed IHSAA official, log on to ihsaa.org/officials today.
I am Heritage.
Heritage Christian. We are Heritage.
I am Heritage.
We are Heritage.
You're good at keeping the car clean. We're good at your insurance.
Start with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, online, over the phone, or in person, and stop knocking on wood.
High school sports fans, welcome back to Game Time, to pure spirits, to pure sport. Welcome back to high school sports.
Fans, I'm IHSAA Commissioner Paul Knighty, and I just want to say, welcome back.
This is Game Time. This is Indiana high school sports. This is your IHSAA.
Welcome back to Heritage Christian High School. Joey Lindstrom alongside Troy Darengowski. Heritage up 5-0 after the half, and that is due to some efforts by Kaya Crook. 2 goals to her credit. Abby Folk with 2 goals as well, and Corinne Marshall rounding out the score with 1 goal on her own. And she's at midfield getting ready to kick off. Troy, your impressions of that first half? I mean, it started out a little bit slow for both squads, but then all of a sudden the floodgates just opened for Heritage.
Well, Heritage got ahead on defense, and I'm just talking about they were able to clear that ball ahead of the Covenant defense, and so the transition defensively for Covenant wasn't where it needed to be, and once they got those first couple of goals, it just kind of ballooned after that. You saw it several times. And then on the attack side, Covenant just isn't and doesn't have the ability right now, as young as they are, to get in position to attack the way they want to. Now, I had a little theory during the break. What I thought, it kind of reminds me of players that, and I know nothing about the background of any of the players for Covenant, but it almost seems like most of them don't have that mindset yet on what it's going to take to be a scorer, to be an assist person in soccer. Not saying that they can't do it or won't, but if you come into some systems and you're not used to being a scorer and the coach says you got to score, it doesn't come easy. And it takes a little time to develop. Now, you got some people that are just natural scorers. I mean, they know exactly what to do, but it takes a little bit of time for others. I see Covenant eventually, because of the youth that they have, that they're going to see better days. There's no doubt about it, but they're going to have to they're going to get some lumps for a while until they've kind of figure it out. So, I mean, there's a lot of different factors here tonight. Heritage, again, a good ball club, as we mentioned. They've done a lot of good things tonight. I really like the play of Kyra Crook and Abby Folk, especially the way Crook gets ahead of the defense and such. They know she's going to be there, so they just kind of cherry pick her and go. So, a lot of different factors, but, we still have, look at this one, just off the post.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of soccer to play here tonight. Covenant's idea is, again, let's take it just a possession at a time and try to get ourselves where we need to get to score a goal.
And I think that's true as well, because if you're Coach Gast, you have so much to develop out of these girls, right? And it's a young team. We talked about how they played at the youth level. Going into high school, that changes. Everything changes. Yeah. It's much faster. Girls are stronger. Now you look at it, and you've played a season where you've had 1 win out of 12 games, and it's been a hard road. But I think you learn from that. You learn from maybe the losing seasons, kind of that despair feeling where you're like, I don't want to have this feeling again, right? And that's got to play into it too. So you just play the season to figure out what you're good at as a young team, and then build on that.
Well, the other thing is too, as you mentioned, when you get to the high school level, there's a lot of focus on you more than there would be when you're a club team and you're doing things like that. It kind of reminds me, again, I keep alluding to basketball. You need to go play AAU basketball, and you got 500 games going on at once there. But now the fans are focused on you, and you have the fans right here at Heritage that are watching each individual player. So sometimes players don't respond to that spotlight as well, but that takes experience too. And when you're a freshman, you're still a freshman. I don't care if you played 15 or 16 games, you're still a freshman, and playing in that spotlight sometimes takes a little time to get used to. And that lone pine tree out there all by itself.
The player I feel most bad for so far is Hooper, because she's had to chase every single ball that's gone out of bounds to get back to her corner.
What happens, though, if that ball goes flat? Do we have another one somewhere?
I hope so. That's been the real compelling little side story that you can report tomorrow in your radio broadcast. There was only one ball at Heritage, and it went flat.
So we all went home. So
somebody had to run home.
So I like that challenge right there defensively.
Yep, that's something we didn't really see in the first half.
Eleanor Mounts, a junior. I think we called her name earlier, but again, you can kind of tell when it's an upperclassman. They kind of know they've been through the fight before, and you can tell from what you see in Mounts.
Good work by Kernut. Trying to draw that one loose. She does. A little bit of contact, though. It goes Covenant Christian's way.
Well, I like the energy early here in the second half for Covenant Christian. They came out a little bit stronger, I thought. They were more aggressive. They're playing maybe a little bit more physical than we saw in the early first half. So that's a sign that's a plus for your team that they haven't quit.
This broadcast brought to you by Morales Group. We can match you with the right career or hire the right candidate for your company. We do so much more than that. Let us help you today. Contact Morales Group at 317-472-7600. That's 317-472-7600.
Ball ended up going out of play, I do believe, right here on the sideline. Nonetheless, here's another opportunity, or at least a opportunity for Covenant Christian. See if they can set something up here offensively. We've been waiting for it. Good ball.
It sure was. This is a good chance for Covenant Christian. If this one trickles out of bounds, they might get a set piece. Interfering there. Good job by Quincy Gumbel to go ahead and knock the one loose. And it'll stay with Covenant.
I know it may seem kind of odd, but again, you do see a little bit of a different energy right now by Covenant.
That one deflected out. Was on its way to the box. Chasing after that one again was Gumbel, excuse me.
Well, you don't have a whole lot of depth on your squad. In fact, you look at Heritage, they don't play a ton of people. And when you think about Covenant, they don't play a ton of people either. At some point, the whole idea of getting fatigued is going to come into play here tonight.
Certainly.
So you're hoping that the energy you have right now can last for Covenant, but now you really need to capitalize if you can.
Well, we saw the mandatory water break earlier, and that kind of comes into play too. When it's still hot out and we're getting towards the tail end of summer, that certainly plays a factor. The heat is still there. I mean, we had a couple years ago, didn't we have a week of like 90-degree weather in October?
Yeah, I know. Let me tell you what, and you make a good point. That play transpires to there. I got to mention that I remember covering some high school soccer late in the year where it is brutally cold too.
Oh, yeah.
So you think about going from the hot days like this, and then you turn around and the players are all bundled up and everything, and I'm just like, it can be brutal.
I'd say it's probably worse to play in the cold than it is hot.
I do too.
If you're playing soccer.
Yeah.
Football, you can kind of just trick yourself into thinking it's fun.
That's what the coaches try to do, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have fun today.
Yeah, you're having fun. You're going to get beat up and bruised, and it's going to sting because it's cold.
That's right.
But soccer, I mean, is very physical, and those girls, you don't not get beat up in soccer as well.
Well, and a header with a cold ball on a night like that too, and take one off the leg or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
I just like the football coaches, like when you played football. I'm sure that they had you. There we go.
Here's Kaya Crook. She's got a chance.
Oh,
what a save out in front by Williamson.
Well, there was that play again. Boy, just send it down and let her do the rest of the work. I was about ready to tell you about the football coaches. They got you convinced, though, right? I mean, they.
Yes, it was more of a mindset. I mean, you get a chance to go play in the cold. You will, and you'll do it to the best of your ability, and you'll enjoy it, no matter whether you like it or not. Covenant's got a chance here. On the doorstep, what good defense there. But a shot, that one just goes over the top. Sabri, right boot. That one goes over the crossbar.
Well, that was just inches. I loved that time the way Covenant stayed with it. Even though the attack got knocked down toward the middle, they stayed with it and watch this as it comes back.
Yeah, Jaden Dare takes this one. Watch her up ahead.
Great ball.
A great forwarding pass right to Dare. Dare was like, oh, my gosh, I have some space. And what a chance there by Sabri.
Oh, and then at the other end they scored.
Into the other end they do score, Troy, and that is a goal for Heritage Christian. Extends it to 6 Number 14. That is Abby Folk once again. That's a hat trick for Abby. The freshman is solidifying herself as a force in the Circle City Conference.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that when you talk about Heritage Christian soccer, Abby Folk's name will come up time and time again with a hat trick here tonight. I tell you what, she's got a heck of a career ahead of her, no doubt about it, not just by this game, but by some of the other games that they played already, that she's going to be on the opposing team's scouting report a lot.
Oh, yeah. Her 17th goal, according to our stat sheet.
I just hate to see that for Covenant because they played so well on that last offensive possession and missed a goal by just inches, and then they able to come back and get a stop.
They really had a good chance there and a great shot. Ooh. That one goes off the crossbar. Trying to find it is Folk in a little tussle with Williamson. Williamson gets the better end of it with the padded gloves.
Boy, Williamson had to take a look up and see where that ball was going to come down at the same time, knowing that there was an offensive player coming toward her. That's tough. Good spacing. I love Heritage right now. Good spacing, ball control, knowing they can use some clock right here if they need to. And good ball control.
You know, the forwards, I look at the ages here of Heritage Christian. Marshall, sophomore, and then Crook and Folk, both freshmen. When you have three forwards like that kind of control that whole area, there's not one striker that you're afraid of. Both wingers, all three of them can play the winger position and get good centering passes. And then you have somebody like Hooper, captain of this team. Now she's just the corner kicker. She's the go-to.
And she kicks it well.
She sure does. Williamson comes out there. And not to mention, too, but when you have your captain kind of running those type of set-piece plays, it obviously gives you a little more opportunity.
Yeah, and certainly communication, a big part of that. You want the player that can certainly get the message across of what you want to do, and that's huge as well, both on offense and defense.
We talked at halftime, the 1A rankings, Heritage Christian has the third spot. Despite their record, their strength of schedule is so strong and hefty that they still remain in the top 5.
Well, how many teams, and I look at football being one of the examples where a team could be, 3-5, yet they played all these ranked teams in the upper classes, and you go, well, how could they be ranked? Well, there's a reason why, because that shot goes wide, is when you play a strength of schedule that's very good, and you still end up with a sub-500 record, you know how good they're going to be tournament time, and that's why you see a lot of teams have that success. Cathedral will be a perfect team in football in 5A. They'll play anybody, even out of state. So, and there have been years they've gone into the tournament at 4-5 and win the whole thing
because they play such top-tier opponents from anywhere else they would like to play them.
And Heritage probably feels the same way. Hey, bottom line, we're going to play whoever's on the schedule. We may not have a winning record going into the tournament. That's okay. Bottom line is the tournament is where we want to be and where we want to make our mark. So here's where Covenant now can build on what we saw a couple of moments ago. They've had a couple of good offensive possessions. Their best one came with a near goal on that last kick from the right wing. And boy, if you're a Covenant Christian coach and fan, you want to see more of that, and they can try to build on that right here.
Long centering pass. That one will trickle into the hands of Audrey Brewer, Launches this one down over the half line.
Yeah, that was a good ball. I would love to have seen those two forwards down there just sprinting down and get in position. Don't wait for it. Just get ahead of it as much as you can.
Kaya Crook has another lane. No offsides call. She'll take this one and score. Kaya Crook, her third, matching the hat trick for Folk.
Well, I tell you what, she loves that right side. I tell you, I'd never move her from there. She could shoot that thing all day long.
Heck no. And then you got Folk, who hit a left boot earlier. from about 10 yards out.
Well, you can certainly see when you come into this and you scout it, as you get another look at the goal, and you scouted this Heritage Christian team, you can see why Folk, Crook, and Marshall are the three key offensive players. And if you're going to play them, you better find a way to stop all three, because I guess you could pick your poison and try to get 2 out of the 3. I'm not sure you could get all 3 unless you have really, really good defenders and they can take them one-on-one and stop them. But, well, that's a nice 3-headed attack, a 3-headed monster to have offensively.
All goals coming from the forwards of this Heritage Christian squad. Folk sees the writing on the wall, gets it to Kernut, who briefly taps it, and Williamson will corral it.
Boy, if Kernut just taps that a little bit lighter, she could keep control of it and then have that one-on-one situation, but she's trying everything she could to keep that away from the defender.
So here comes Covenant. After both squads playing hard, even though the score is what it is right now. After this game, Heritage Christian travels to Triton Central on Saturday, and then next Tuesday they host Ron Colley. And I believe we have that game here. Just kidding.
But it sounds like it's a game we ought to have.
Yeah, and then they had a little bit of a tournament, neutral site, and they faced Washington in their opener.
Well, there can't, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there cannot be many matches remaining on the total schedule.
No, there certainly are not. Covenant Christians is even shorter. That shot going long. Covenant Christian hosts Traders Point next Tuesday. And then they host Greenwood Christian Academy next Thursday. And then Saturday, September 25th, is their conference tournament.
Okay. And it should be shortly after that. We're talking that opening round of sectional play, or very close to it.
And we talked about the sectionals tough for both these teams, and if you're Covenant Christian, you hope just to not draw Speedway, who has yet to lose a game this year.
You know, when you're the head coach of a team that is struggling, that's the first thing. Okay, let's see here. Who do I not want to draw?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the blind draw is the way it is, and I know a lot of people still love to see some seeding at some point. Maybe that'll happen someday, but unfortunately, it's not right now. So if you're Covenant, you do draw Speedway. Again, you got to look at it in a positive way and think about building what you're going to do in the future.
Marshall trying to find some space. Great defense there by Crane. Gets it up to her teammate Dare. Then more battle in between in the midfield.
See, that's something I don't think we saw as much in the first half from Covenant, where they really, if there was a 50-50 ball, they were going after it and really challenging Heritage in every possession. But I think we've seen that a lot more here in the second half. That's good defense right there by Heritage Christian. They were not going to allow that ball to get an easy throw in. That's not an easy thing to do. If you're not used to throwing that ball with both hands over your head like that, that can be really, really difficult to get any distance on it.
Well, have you seen the flip throws?
No.
Where they put they act as if they're trying to throw it over to the top of their head. They go all the way down to the ground, do kind of like a somersault while keeping the ball on the ground, and then they throw it, and it almost gets as much distance as a corner kick. It's wild.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's big in the college game, or growing. What a strike! Off the right foot there. Looks like 17 to me, but we don't have a number 17. Number 12, Greta Hunsacker. Oh my God, what a snipe.
That's a long ball on that one. Now watch the distance. What are we talking about here? You're outside just at the box, edge of the box, or close to it.
An absolute snipe. I don't think she expected maybe that one to go in, or she'll tell her coaches, like, once they say, well, why'd you shoot that? Well, coach, I knew it was going to go in.
That's right. How dare you question me on that?
So an 8-0 lead. Heritage 1 goal away from mercy rule.
Well, you're going to see some different faces come in here late in the lineup as well.
Take a second to get a word from our sponsor, Burtner Electric. Burtner Electric has been serving the Indianapolis area since 1986. We are family-owned and operated, take pride in our customer service, and we put our customers first. Fully licensed and insured, offer 24-hour emergency service. No job is too small. Call today for all your electrical needs, 317-773-7663. Also brought to you by IHSAA Official. To become an IHSAA official, you need to contact Sandra Walter. And there it is, the 9th goal of the game for Heritage Christian in the 21st minute.
Well, that was another beautiful play that time by Heritage Christian. Tell you what, their last two goals have been picture perfect. Watch this.
Get to see this again. Crook, the pass.
Look at her head up. Love it.
Right over the top. In the 6 to Mackenzie Jones, a fellow first-year student. And there you have it. Heritage Christian knots it up. 9-0. How did they do it, Troy Darengowski?
Well, I'll tell you what, they attacked well. You saw that there at the very end. I tell you what, when you watched Crook look up twice. Now, she could have taken that herself. I mean, she's had a great game tonight, but she looked up twice to see where her teammates were to her left and gave it up unselfishly. That was the best goal of the night to me. I know we've seen some really good ones, but Heritage is going to be a formidable opponent no matter who they play. I know their tournament's going to be tough, but don't fall asleep on them. On the other side, Covenant, ladies, keep your head up. Because, as I said, teams have gone through this. You only have one senior in your team. You're very, very young. We saw some positives in the second half, and that was the key, where they played more aggressive. They were on the ball more. I thought that they went after every 50-50 ball with more aggression than what we saw in the first half. So they got a ways to go. They just got to find some way to put goals in, and that's the big key right now for them.
And you got 2 games to figure it out before sectional time as they host Traders Point and Greenwood Christian to round out their schedules. And Heritage Christian heads to Triton Central next. They host Roncalli after that, and then they have a brief tournament before their Circle City tournament. A brief matchup, before their Circle City tournament. So that'll do it. 9-0 our score. Unlike most broadcast companies, our funding comes primarily from donations or school subscriptions. Help us put more kids on TV by clicking our donate button on our webpage, IndianaSRN.org. And this broadcast is copyrighted by IndianaSRN and the Indiana High School Athletic Association for the private use of our audience. The use of pictures, videos, and audio without the expressed written permission of the IHSAA is prohibited. For our cameraman, Brandon Kroll, for our producer, Nick Lewis, for my broadcast partner, Troy Darengowski, I'm Joey Lindstrom. The final is 9-0. Heritage Christian over Covenant Christian. Heritage Christian moves on to 5-6. Covenant Christian 1-12. We will see you next time. Do not forget, we have a full slate of football games tomorrow night on the family of networks, IndianaSRN.org, where you can find all those webcasts and where you're always in the game. Have a great night, everyone.